es a la actriz Gemma Arterton. El actor Renner. Y al director de la película Wirkola.
¡Órale pues!
Ok, ¿están listos? ¿Quién tiene la
No me
plataforma?
tapes, por favor.
Ok, te puedes poner de pie, nombre y medio, si falta nada más, ¿ok?
Hola, muy buen día. Soy extranjero del periódico Reforma. Primero que nada, bienvenidos a México. Mi primera pregunta sería para el productor que viene Messick como productor. ¿Cómo puede pasar de una historia de cuento de hadas, una historia para niños, a una película un poco más oscura, incluso llena de acción, incluso un poco sangrienta? Y también una pregunta para Jeremy. ¿Cómo fue la experiencia de esta película? Y sabemos que en unas semanas estarás en los Spirit Awards con Salma Hayek. Si estás emocionado al respecto.
Moving on from the fairy tale, to be honest, was very easy because it was all Tommy's vision from when we first met. And his spin, which he's had on this fairy tale since he was a film student in Australia, was unique and compelling and commercial and exciting. So for us, it was really hearing Tommy's take on the story and helping him in every way to deliver on it.
Jim?
You done? Yes. Okay. Well, I can't remember what the question was. About Selma Hayek, I heard? About the Spirit Awards?
Yes.
And how I feel about that? What do you think? That's awesome. Selma's amazing. I love Selma. I want to put her in my pocket and take her with me everywhere. She's fantastic. I just love being around her. And I'm very excited to be part of Film Independent Spirit Awards. That's a great place for young artists and for great opportunities. It's great to be part of that.
Tommy, I think you should answer Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I grew up loving fairy tales. In Norway, we have a strong tradition of fairy tales. And Hansel and Gretel was always my fairy tale. I used to listen to it every night before I went to bed on almost all cassette tapes. And it scared me to death. You can hear the witch dying, screaming, burning alive inside the oven.
You had it on the live audio cassette?
Yeah. It was
Listen to
terrifying.
it repeatedly?
Yes.
And I always wondered what happened to them. It's for me, it was, as I grew up, it's like a great first act of film, the fairy tale, because it leaves the character in a really cool place. And it was fun taking that idea and just going from there. The fairy tale left off.
The question here. I know it's for us. Yeah, no, we're action heroes or something. Yeah. Pretty good. It's good to be an action hero. Although they are heroes, but they're not they're quite flawed.
Extremely flawed.
They're real. I think within this fantasy world, it's good that the heroes are actually pretty human and relatable to. It's good for me. It's great to be playing a kick-ass female.
And you look good too.
And that's the main thing.
Número 3.
Por acá,
Acá.
también. Primera cuestión, para formar agencia de televisión y espectáculos. Mi primera pregunta es para Jeremy y Gemma. ¿Qué es lo que debe tener una buena película basada en un cuento de hadas? Y la segunda, para Tommy, ¿qué tan difícil es vender la idea de una película pues, basada en un cuento de hadas tan conocido?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. Fairy tale or not, I mean, it's telling a story. You have characters you care about. In my opinion, you want to follow them on a journey, whether it's a fairy tale land or not. And the protagonist, I always believe, should be flawed in some sort of way. the film should have some sort of empathy towards. I think we had all that. We just had a really wonderful world and backdrop and known story to sort of continue that journey. So I think we had everyone needed.
Yeah, no, and for me, with the idea of selling into a studio is it actually stems back to my film school. I started film in Australia, and it was about 7 years ago now, and we had a pitching class where our teacher, he pretends to be a Hollywood producer, and you go up to him and you have 1 minute to pitch an idea. And I basically had Hansel and Gretel 15 years later, and they grow up to be bounty hunters for witches. And my teacher told me at that moment, he said, Tommy, don't ever speak of an idea again until you're in front of a Hollywood producer, and I guarantee you will sell it. So I kept my mouth shut, and I made a few movies in Norway, and I got myself to Hollywood. And my first meeting, the first day, I pitched it to Gary Sanchez Productions, and they went for it. And I think it's because, these stories, like you said, they're known throughout the whole world, and everybody has a relationship with those characters. So if you can find a fun way of reinventing them, I think it will always be interesting for a studio.
Ok, número 4. ¿Te puedes poner el pie, por favor?
Hola, soy Renner de Película Televisa. A mí me gustaría saber, para que cómo fue el proceso de creación visual de la película. Y a Jeremy, hoy por la mañana se dieron las nominaciones al Oscar y Avengers está nominado para efectos especiales. Entonces, a ver qué opinan al respecto.
The visual creation of the world was really exciting, and again, it all stems from Tommy. This was a fairy tale world that didn't exist in any particular time or place. Tommy really wanted to figure out what was a new way to portray how witches would look like. He really wanted to stick with an animatronic creature for the troll, somebody that could interact with the cast in a real way as opposed to CGI. And where in this European landscape that we would shoot the film, so it didn't feel like you were in any particular country, but it did feel like you were in a place a long time ago. And I think that Tommy succeeded on all those levels in creating a film that takes you into a world that you can't literally tag to one country or one time period, but that feels uniquely fairy tale. And I think that's a great world for Hansel and Gretel to come to.
Yeah, the Avengers, Tommy and Kenny Moore, awesome. The special effects, I had absolutely nothing to do with that. I guess it's still pretty exciting for those guys that did that. Good up. That's awesome.
Okay, ¿quién tiene la número 5? ¿Dónde? Acá.
Hola, buenos días, Andrea García para el programa Hoy. Mi pregunta es para todos. Quisiera saber, ya una vez que están involucrados en una historia como esta, que es un cuento mundialmente conocido, no sé si tengan la curiosidad o quisieran hacer y participar en una leyenda mexicana, tal vez. México es un país rico en eso, en mitos y leyendas, si conocen alguna, y si, por ejemplo, al director le gustaría llevar a la pantalla grande una de estas historias. Gracias.
Who want to answer first? First the director? Okay. John?
Yeah, sure. I think I got the whole question. No, I don't know any Mexican fairy tales, I have to be honest. I do know this was always my favorite fairy tale. I mean, we have, like I said, we have a lot of fairy tales in Norway, actually, where I'm from. And if I go another, maybe it will be one of those stories that the world doesn't know that much as Hansel and Gretel, but my experience with Mexican fairy tales are limited. I'm from very far up in Norway, It's the first time I'm in this country and so far from home.
Anyone?
But I think when Tommy and I got a chance just to see a little bit of the city yesterday, we did start to think about what stories could be told in the ruins underneath the cathedral and some of the Aztec stories that we heard about. So it certainly seems very, very rich, and I think we'll be doing a little digging when we get back.
Okay. ¿Alguien más? Jeremy, Gemma, do you want to answer? Anything? Okay. ¿Alguien más? ¿Dónde está la otra paciente, Marta? 6, allá. Okay.
Hi, Trevor here. Isaac Carrillo with the Associated Press. This is a question for Tommy. Tommy, when you did this new approach to such classic children's story, were you ever afraid of the criticism that the movie could take of triggering violence? including children. And I also would like to know if you see this kind of new approach to classic stories as a new trend in Hollywood rather than just adapting or making remakes.
Yes, can you repeat the first part of the question?
Yes, I would like to know what did you think about the criticism that the movie can have around the possibility of triggering violence? Triggering violence?
Triggering violence.
Well, I think you're in such a fairy tale world that's so disconnected from the real world that I never really thought about that and we have such a fun tone to the film as well. We have a lot of humor and it's not very realistic in that aspect. So I don't feel we're necessarily a very violent movie. Yes, we have gore, but it's always done with a smile and a wink to the audience. So I don't think that's an issue. And yeah, it just certainly is a trend in Hollywood these days of doing fairy tale movies, and I just think they're just great stories. As simple as that. And of course, studios love those things because they're already established all across the world. You know, they know they don't have to spend millions on marketing establishing these characters that everybody knows about. So from them, it's a very, it's a nice opportunity to do something big. But for us, it's just great stories and great characters and great worlds to play with. And also, I just think it's fun taking something that everybody knows and has a feeling about or experience in their childhood and doing something new with it.
¿Quién sigue? ¿Cómo está? Acá.
Raúl Ortiz de la revista Cine Más. Bienvenidos a México. Y mi pregunta para todos es ¿cómo fue la preparación física? Porque esta película implica mucho esfuerzo, muchas acrobacias, correr, saltar, brincar, y pues me interesaría mucho saber ese aspecto. Gracias.
La pregunta para todos, también director,
para todos.
Director y productor, el aspecto físico.
I know that the training needed to tell me. I think maybe Gemma is best to handle the training question.
Yeah, I just finished a play last time I was playing Fairy. So I had to really change my physicality. And, so I came to Berlin early and did like a 3 or 4 week fighting boot camp, learning how to fight like a badass. And it was great actually. It was really intense, but it's created the foundation of the character actually. It was a strong character. Jeremy rocked up being able to do it like naturally. So he did. And Tommy, I know you were working out daily 2 times a day.
I'd love to see that though.
Well, I played a lot of football, so I had a good basis. I played a lot of football.
I'm stretched. That's about it. Try not to get injured.
Bueno, ¿quién sigue? Por allá.
Here. Hi guys, good morning. Ivan Pasillas, Game.com. I have a question for all of you first. With all the boom in the fairy tale adaptations, what do you think about TV shows like Once Upon a Time and Dream? And the second one is just for Jeremy. In a lot of your movies, more than one, you have your characters that sleep slight gay puns, and that has made a lot of buzz on the internet. It has made you very popular with the gay community. Would you care to comment on that, please? Thank you.
I think for fairy tales and TV shows and movies, I think it's to speak to what Tommy mentioned earlier. They're just great stories, and people are realizing that it's a gold mine that they can continue to go back to. As long as they keep making good ones, I think that it's an endless list of opportunities. And if those characters work and they go on different adventures, it's no different than a superhero movie or anything else they can.
I heard the first part of that in Spanish, sorry, and I turned it down. What about the gay community?
Yeah, it has made a lot of fun.
What is it though? What?
That your characters in some of your movies make let's say slight gay puns, and that has made a lot of buzz on the internet and with the gay community. So if you care to comment on that.
I don't know. Does the buzz feel good? I don't know what that is. I guess if it's a good thing, bad thing.
A good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I don't control what people think or feel or say about anything I ever do. But hey, I'd rather people dig what I'm doing than hate it. So yeah, right on.
Hey, power.
Ok, ¿alguien más? ¿Dónde está? ¿En dónde vamos? 10. 10. 9, acá está. 9, perdón.
Hola, buenos días. Yo soy Calero del periódico Excelsior y tengo unas preguntillas por ahí. Me gustaría saber cuál es la postura de los cuatro con respecto a los temas de la magia, porque en el cuento se maneja la magia negra y la magia blanca. Quisiera saber si tienen algún tipo de, no sé, gusto, inclinación o se sienten seducidos por ese tema. Quisiera saber la cuestión del maquillaje, cuánto tiempo tardaron en caracterizar a las brujas, ¿no? Cuántas horas tardaron. Y esta tercera serie para Jeremy, ¿cómo va la filmación de la segunda parte de The Avengers? Gracias.
The first one was me.
Yes, I guess. Okay, yeah, please.
I mean, in the movie we have both white and black people, obviously. I don't know, I always like it. I mean, we try to do something new with witches in this film, and really, we try to make every witch kind of connected to a different animal, and really make them animalistic and like they're born out of nature, and their powers would stem out of that. So it wasn't really, I mean, I guess yeah, it is what people think about witches, and it stems from that. But I mean, I actually found an old witch hunting book from the 1600s from Germany that I went through, but it's got really nothing. I mean, they would arrest people for having a black cat in those days. So for us, it was just finding out cool abilities and cool magic and having fun with that. It's really not based in reality at all. As for the witches makeup, yeah, that was tricky. It was 3 hours for Famke, who plays Muriel. It was 3 hours in the morning with the makeup, and then the contact lenses are actually the most uncomfortable thing of it all. They really hurt your eyes. Then you shoot from, shoot 8 to 10 hours a day, and you think you're done. And then comes the worst part. We actually have to take off the makeup because it's so expensive. We have to save it for the next day, so it actually takes an hour and a half just to take it off. So the witches went through a lot in this film, but I do like doing things practically. I don't like using CGI. I don't have to. So I really pushed for that kind of stuff. I really like it. And it's one of the things I'm most happy with the film is just the look of the witches and all the. We had a lot of fun coming up with where they come from, what kind of skills do we have, and we just for the big witches summit at the end we have about 50 or 60 witches with unique looks, and it was a lot of fun coming up with that stuff.
Tommy's the key collaborator for Tommy on the Witch Looks is a company back in Los Angeles called Motion, which was referred to as by Guillermo del Toro. They do all of the creatures in his movies, so Tommy really latched onto them early on to create hopefully something unique for our film.
I'm sorry, it's a quick, easy answer. I'm not shooting The Avengers 2 right now. That's a good year away. So I have no idea what it's like shooting it yet.
Okay, vámonos con 10. Sí.
I have a question for Jeremy. How do you feel to come back to Mexico? You were here 2 months ago, so how do you feel? And you guys reread the classic, the story, or do you want to do your own characters? And also for the director, do you plan to do another movie of action, or would you like to do another movie of drama or something like that?
It's good to be back, sister. Come on, I love it here, man. The fans are really great. I'm very excited this time to have a premiere here. It seems we have a really great turnout tonight. I couldn't be more excited to watch a movie with a real audience. That's very exciting for all of us up here. So I couldn't be more excited to be back here in Mexico. Thank you.
We did read the original fairy tale, but we play grown-up Hansel and Gretel, so we didn't really have to honour that thing, so we could really have fun with the reinterpretation of the characters. And for us, the main thing was that the brother and sister relationship was legit and strong, so we worked on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see myself doing a drama movie in the near future. I think I have to. Oh, maybe I have a couple of things in Norway that I might do. I do love all genres. I do, and of course, my previous movies have been more extreme category. But it's always about if it's a good story or not. And there's nothing I don't see myself. Maybe not a musical, but other than that, I'm pretty open to most things.
Unless it's a zombie musical.
Yeah, I might consider that.
Pregunta 11.
Pregunta 11. Mi nombre es Jorge Mendoza del diario El Universal. Quisiera saber, señores, sobre todo la pregunta va dirigida a Jeremy Renner. Jeremy, tú haces tus propios stunts, es decir, tus escenas peligrosas, y ¿en qué criterio te basas para elegir tus personajes en el cine? Muchas gracias.
Stunts are fun, and if hold on, I can't hear myself talking. Stunts are fantastic, and the most important thing for the reason why I do them is to make it more immersive for audience. And I don't do it just because you get a thrill out of it. This is the real reason we do that, and you don't want to get hurt. So that's the most important thing when it comes to that, because the production can be solid. And when it comes to choosing a character, it's the same for every movie. It's selfishly the character I have to connect to, and cast who I get to learn from, director as well, and the story. What world do we get to live in here? That's interesting, and make it interesting for audience to want to go see the theater and watch. So it's the character is the most important.
Bueno, tenemos una pregunta número 12, pero todavía tenemos. Acá está, sí tenemos.
Mi pregunta es para el productor. Tomando en cuenta que Hansel y Gretel es un cuento de hadas infantil, ¿pensaron en algún momento en algún mensaje en la adaptación?
I have two kids, and they know the fairy tale very well, and they've also come to know Tommy really well. The movie's not for kids, not for young kids. So for us, as Gemma said, the movie's about the grown-up version of Hansel and Gretel. So we think that there's a really fun audience for this, but there was never any issue, I think, when Tommy first told us the story. It was just the mythology of those two kids who were abandoned, left in the woods, almost died in the hands of a witch. It's the what happened next part that was exciting to us. So we think the fairy tale's great. We think it serves our movie well. We think the movie serves the fairy tale well, and we think Tom did a great job.
Ok, tenemos oportunidad de acá. Más antes de preguntas acá.
Hola, Eduardo González, del grupo Asir, es para los actores. Eduardo González, del grupo Asir. Estoy de su lado derecho, hasta atrás.
Over there, on your right side.
A mí me gustaría saber su opinión, quizá es un poco redundante la pregunta, es precisamente sobre su opinión de los cuentos clásicos, por ejemplo, que Pinocho tenía el mensaje para los niños de no mentir, la cosita roja de que obedecieran a los padres, Hansel y Gretel seguramente surgió también como para darle algún mensaje a los niños. Me gustaría saber su opinión sobre estos cuentos y bueno, cómo es que ahora todavía se pueden retomar para que muchos niños, jóvenes, inclusive el público adulto pueda retomar estos mensajes.
I think fairy tales are told as sort of, as a fable. There's a lesson for children and adults, and they kind of they're based on human emotions, basic human emotions and fears. And this one, Hansel and Gretel is about abandonment and temptation. But our film isn't really putting that message out. That's the reason why these fairy tales are told over and over again, is because they have a strong message and they resonate with a sort of emotion with people. But our film is not really pushing that message. Just, only the candy is the main message.
It's a good message.
It's a good message.
Por ahí, acá. Sí.
Buenos días, Jonathan Sánchez para Sopietas.com. Para el director, Gemma y Jeremy, ¿hubo alguna escena en particular que les resultara difícil de hacer, que les costara más trabajo que las demás? ¿Y hubo alguna escena que haya sido su favorita por alguna razón en especial?
Quick answer is anytime we shot with a 3D camera, that was the suckiest experience. And favorite scene, I don't believe in favorites, so I mean, I love them all from the first day and sadly the last day when I had to go. I enjoyed every moment of making this film. It was a wonderful fantasy.
Yeah, like you said, the 3D cameras was not fun to deal with. But I would say that not necessarily a scene, but what we thought a lot about, especially me going into the shoot, is how do you balance the tone? How far do you go with comedy in each scene? How far do you go with horror? How far do you go with action? And especially when you mix humor into it all, it's always a tricky balance of not going too far. If you go too far, it can quickly turn into a spoof, or it can lessen the story somehow. So my main worry was always balancing the tone and try to keep it healthy and not go too far into either direction. I don't know, favorite scene, there's no, I truly, there's a lot of good ones for me, and they all have different memories of how it was to shoot them, but the 3D cameras was quite a fun experience, wasn't it? Movie making in general is 90% waiting and 10% shooting, and suddenly it was 98% waiting, 2% shooting. So it was, but it looked great because of it. The 3D really looks good, but it was not fun dealing with the stuff.
Ok, tenemos dos preguntas más, ¿sí? Aquí, ¿te puedes poner de pie, por favor? Gracias.
Bueno, sí. Erika Gallardo del Grupo Fórmula Cine 140. Para el director, primero, ¿cuál fue tu estudio sobre la magia y las brujas? Porque aquí vemos unas brujas muy, no sé, una especie de vampiro, una especie de cosas muy extrañas. Y por el otro lado, ¿qué creen que es lo importante de estas historias de cuentos de hadas? Porque se repiten y se repiten y se repiten, y creo que sí reaccionan en un momento determinado, en una sociedad determinada, pero ahora se está contando de otra manera y de otra forma. ¿Cuál es la importancia de contar estas historias?
What was the first part of the question? Oh yeah, witches. Yes. Well, I actually come from a place in Norway where we have some stories about witches, and it was not far away from me. They burned 60 women for accusing witchcraft. So I read about that, of course, growing up, about it in school. And then I did some research, like I told earlier. I found this book that the biggest witch hunter in all Europe made. But it was, of course, absurd, because it's not based on any reality, the way he conducted himself and how he arrested women for being witches. So for me, it was literally just having fun. Like I said, we really wanted to try to do something new with witches. I didn't want the old classical witch with the long nose stirring the pot. I really wanted to do something, make them dangerous again, and make them like animals. That was my goal, and you should feel that they could explode any second. And it was really fun coming up with their skills and powers and spells. And it wasn't pulled from any source, so it was just having fun with my head and my collaborators. As for fairy tales, yeah, like we talked about earlier, they're just great stories. They're very simple, they're very black and white, and if you do this, this will happen to you. They're very basic, but for me, it was always the darkness that appealed to me. They're really dark. The group stories are so dark. People forget about, when you listen to the originals, they are really scary. And I don't know, like basic good stories. That's as simple as that for me. That's why I think they've stayed so long. They have extreme amount of gore and violence and horror, but it still feels like a fun movie. And it's not just fun, but it's their own unique brand of humor. It's their own sense of humor. You really feel, you feel them. Peter Jackson was making those movies. And I love those movies and how you can mix those things. And for me, it's if you're going to make a movie that feels like a ride, it's always better to have, if you can laugh and be disgusted or be scared within minutes, it's always a more complete ride.
Bueno, con eso terminamos la conferencia. De verdad, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. It was nice to meet. Bueno, un aplauso y muchas gracias.